Welcome to the Community Cut. I'm Amber Trail, the Director of Marketing here at RCU, and we're excited to highlight partnerships that bring people together. Today's episode, From Legend to Legacy, explores how supporting family-friendly fun spaces like Grays Harbor Raceway help build connection, tradition, and community pride generation after generation. I'm excited today to introduce Joe Robertson, the former credit union CEO, to give us a little bit of history on our Raceway sponsorship. So Joe, to understand why RCU shows up at the track, we have to start with the story and the leader who helped shape it. Take us back to the beginning. What was happening at the credit union when the idea to sponsor a sprint car came into play?
I had a background before I came to the credit union in marketing, and I had done a lot of promotions and advertising in small towns around the state for restaurants. Fast forward to 2005, and we had an office in McCleary and in Elma in eastern Grays Harbor, but there was no advertising. They had no newspaper, no radio. There was no social media really going at that time, and you couldn't really advertise. We had a sign up in front of the elementary school in McCleary and in front of the high school in Elma, and that was about it. So I always was wondering, how could we market to that area specifically, but better? And this guy came in, a friend of mine, to the office one day, and he said, "Joe, have you ever thought about sponsoring a sprint car at Grays Harbor Raceway?" I said, "No, I don't know anything about that." And he said, "Why don't you go with me this Saturday over to the track?" So I went over with him. We went down to the pits all night long. I met Jay Cole, and I watched what was going on. Jay went out there and won the race that night in the main and came back to his pits. When he was done, all the other drivers put their gear away, went to the cooler and got their beers out and started balloneying. Jay went to the cooler, got a bottle of water, came back out, and these kids were all over his pit. And he met every one of the kids. He shook hands with them. He let them hold his trophy that he won that night. He let them sit in his car, and he gave them a Sharpie to sign their name on the wing. And I thought, wow, this guy's more than the points champion at Grays Harbor. He actually builds a relationship with the people. And when I got home that night, I said, I'm going to have to think about sponsoring this guy. Talked to the board of directors, and we ended up talking to Jay. And Jay said, well, what I could really use is a new engine, but that's going to cost us $20,000. I said, what if I give you $30,000 for 3 years? So that'd be $10,000 a year, but I'll give it to you all up front. He said, that would work. And so that's how we got started. And it was because of Jay's connection to the community and the race fans, not the fact that he was a winning driver.
What did you see this sponsorship do for the community connection with the members, with the families, and the race fans?
Well, I learned, and I saw that night to some extent, and then I kept going after that. I went to the races every Saturday night and sat down in the pits. And I learned that a couple thousand people came every Saturday night to the races, and a whole bunch of them were from eastern Grays Harbor and Shelton. So basically, a lot of the people that we do business with or could potentially do business with were coming to the races, and they were also supporting and in favor of Jay Cole. They have a fan vote at the end of the year. Jay Cole was fan favorite 7 years in a row by that time. So the connection with the community and Jay Cole was perfect. That was our community credit union and the community were all tied together, and everybody, in fact, we had people that would come in and talk to me about racing and about Jay Cole instead of talking to me about what the credit union did.
So that's kind of the moment where you realize this is bigger than marketing. It's community.
Way more than a newspaper ad or a radio spot, yeah.
Yeah. Watching the legacy of support continue, what does that mean to you to continue that sponsorship with Jay's great nephew, Destry?
You know, it's important that his role in representing the credit union and the credit union's role in sponsoring him, in selecting him as a designee, he needs to do some things that Jay did, and that is relate to the fans, be a good image, talk to the kids, and build some connections with those kids that maybe the credit union must be a pretty good place to do business with if they have a guy like this that they sponsor. So he has to work that relationship like Jay Cole did.
I love that. I actually went to the races weekend before last for their opening night, and it's exciting to go watch Destry knowing the legacy, but also when he did win, it's an immediate fan attack on him of all those kids. Yeah. They do the same thing, and he does such a great job really interacting with them, and he puts them first before he even takes the mic to talk to the announcer. So
he needs to be cognizant of his image and the responsibility he has representing other organizations like the credit union.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And we will touch on that with him when he comes in about what it means to be a role model for these kids that are coming to watch him. And like you said, there's such a strong reach there. It's not just Grays Harbor community, it's Shelton, it's people coming down from Skagit Speedway and coming up from Oregon. There's a lot of crossover there and demographics coming to watch these guys race and enjoy the time together. And like I think I told you before, I used to go as a kid and watch Jay, and it was always such a special time to go with my family, get all huddled together because it gets cold out there. It gets windy and it gets dusty, and we would get the nachos and we would bundle up under a blanket together and cheer for our hometown hero.
Yeah, I remember as I'd been going for a number of years and became pretty familiar with the weather patterns and whatnot, I remember seeing some women would show up there early in the evening in the grandstands, and I'm thinking, wait till about 9 o'clock, you're going to need some help. And by God, they were standing there. They had blankets brought in to keep them from freezing. But yeah, you're right. The temperature did change after the sun went down.
Yeah, good old Grays Harbor.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Yeah, you're welcome.